Morning, everyone. Here we go, 188, day 188 of the GGR. As numbers are getting up, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning here in Les Abdelone, 12th of March, and it's another overcast, drizzly day. There's been snow all up the top of Europe. It's crazy. Got another boat up in Holland, and snow on the deck and freezing cold and strong winds and stuff, so you can't get any work done. Anyway, part of the fun. So pretty much everything's steady as she goes at the moment on the tracker with... the weather forecasting turning out to be pretty reasonable. Kirsten's settled into her individual hole there, and Abelish is still there, but the wind's catching up, and Simon's getting a huge break with the weather, sailing fast, of course, but the weather is helping him a lot. And I forgot to mention Guy. This line over here is all about Guy, but anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. Couple of things to talk about. One is if you're following the entrant live, the entrant onboard footage, you probably would have noticed on YouTube, we've recut the footage that's already there, so you might see some new snippets. They've been replaced. Rob's been going through all that. And we're just about to start rolling with some of the new footage as well. It's taken a while to get things happening, but it'll slowly start to come up every few days. Starting this week, there'll be another entrant onboard footage coming up. So look out for that. And what else? There was something else I was going to tell you. I forget about that now. Okay, back to the tracker, and I'll get up here, and it'll come to mind later on. So Guy's position at the moment, he's about 1,200 nautical miles behind Ian Herbert Jones. He's got some solid easterly winds at the moment, brought about by this high pressure system. So for the last day or so, he's been sailing due north. He can't make any progress to the east, but he's been making pretty good time. He's down quite low. He's not in the exclusion zone, so he doesn't have to worry about it. Our exclusion zone's way up here. You remember Ian just got around the corner a couple of days ago. So he's not a happy chappy right now. He wants to go to the east and he can't get there, but everything's well on board. You can get onto his Facebook page and then link to his website. You can follow the tracker. We try to bring him up every Friday, but Friday was a catch-up day. It got a bit crazy and I sort of forgot. So anyway, we're thinking of Guy and looking forward to seeing him around Cape Horn as well. Okay, so we get rid of that and we'll come down to Ian and Jeremy. Okay, so Ian is still not able to, for whatever reason, fix up his mainsail by the look of it. He's making pretty good time now. He's on the 8 o'clock position, so that's okay. 4.8 knots, that's about what he's been doing. And in this breeze, I'm not sure whether he's got his main back up or not. I don't think so. It may well be still yet to fix, but anyway, we'll wait for his tweets and see how it goes. Certainly the weather's looking all right, though. He's got to take it on the beam, a little bit after the beam, getting down to Cape Horn, but that's his objective. He's got a window of virtually no storms for the next 6 or 7 days, so he could actually sneak around in that. Jeremy's finally getting a bit of a break, but the breeze is picking up, doing 5.5 knots. He's done 88 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. He had it heavy for the beginning of yesterday, as you saw, so he wasn't... he was going under bare poles for quite a while. He'd have a small head sail up now. The wind's in exactly the right direction, and he's got to come around shortly. So his distance from Cape Horn at the moment, near enough to 320 miles, 2 and a bit big days, if he's lucky, and the weather's looking reasonable. So anyway, I'll pull back now and we'll follow the weather through. He just sent me a message, actually. He's getting a forecast, possibly from Passage Guardian, and he's a bit worried that he's going to be meeting with heavy weather, but it's not what I'm seeing totally. I mean, it's never light down there, but not too bad. So just rolling this through every hour now. So we'll come through the first 24 hours. You can see that's pretty straightforward. Same with Ian. He's got quite a nice breeze to keep sailing if he can get his main back up. And Jeremy's got a good breeze there. It's west norwesterly, exactly where it wants to go. It's probably there's 28 knots gusting to over 38, something like that. That's about right. So he's got a typical Southern Ocean situation. That's 24 hours out. The sea state still be up pretty big. Yeah, that's probably 4 or 5. It's hard. It takes a long time for the sea to die down here after big winds because there's this constant swell coming from the west. So I wouldn't expect it to be any less at the moment. When you turn the corner, you can see up here it drops off pretty quick. But for now, First 24 hours, he's okay. He should make 130 miles there, 140 miles, something like that. So I'll get rid of this, and we go through into the second day. And it still looks pretty good, rolling through. He's got a very favourable wind there, and he'll be getting quite close. So that's the 14th. So that's 48 hours ahead, and he's had good sailing all the way. Now, 48 hours is going to be probably 280 miles for over the last 2 days. So 280, he's going to go very close to being around. So, and you can see he's got no real heavy weather there, so that's okay, but it is coming, and he's going to beat it. So 2 days from now, he'll be very close to getting around, and roll. And Ian back there, he's getting a good shift. That's a solid. This sort of weather here is probably 30, maybe gusting 40, or 28, gusting just under 40. Big seas, and he'll be riding him on the starboard quarter. So that's kind of good. And by then, Ian should be up around here as well. So that's not looking too bad for him. Hit that again. So now we're coming into Jeremy's going to go quiet. He may have a very calm rounding if this forecast holds true. And then the weather starts to build up. This is that system. So that was debatable. A week ago it was showing 80 knots here, but that's not happening. And it's supposed to come over the top, and it'll probably hit him once he's around the corner. And depends on the strength, because it's changing all the time. This is a pretty unstable system, this one. So anyway, when he gets there, he's going to have these confused. He'll be in this zone here at that stage, but he's got a northerly coming in. And it's due to pick up, but how far it picks up, it seems to be, let's just see. Here comes the big one. So by that stage, he's got very unstable. He started to get some headwinds, but now it's kicked in behind him. He's going to be right about here then. So this is past the 16th, so it's 4 and a bit days, somewhere in here at the time. But the strong stuff, that's now actually gone over the Falklands. That's perfect. It's changed completely, or quite a bit from yesterday. Yesterday it was impacting more in this zone, which might have got him, but I think he's just going to miss that one. So I'm not too worried about Jeremy at all. I think he's touch wood. I think he's looking okay. And I'll just keep ticking this through just for Ian. It's pretty quick there. It's the 17th, so it's 5 days ahead. And there hasn't been any storms in his track. He's still got an open window to Cape Horn. And there we go through to the 18th. It's still pretty open, good following breezes. So Ian could hit the jackpot here, touch wood. Let's just see. So that's the 20th. Okay, so that's 8 days from now. So Ian's position to the Horn. He's got some wind coming behind him by the look of it, but he's 1,000 miles, so 8 days. He's going to be around by then. So I think Ian might have hit the jackpot, but we'll leave that for the gods, because the 8 days ahead, the weather can all change. But I've got to say, it's looking pretty good at the moment. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for him and Jeremy, and we'll move the weather back, and we'll go to the other side of the world over here and look at Gug and Simon and Kirsten all in the one frame. Now, so right now, Gug's, can't quite see him down there. Gug's not a happy chappy because he's sitting in this hole doing 2.5 knots. But he did do 100 miles because the centre's just moving over the top of him right now. Simon having an absolute dream run. Now, look, I don't want to say the wrong thing, because Simon is a very good sailor and he knows exactly what he's doing, but this is all about the weather. This weather system is worth 500-600 miles to Simon. It's unbelievable. So he's getting this huge kick up, and he'll be within touching distance of Abelish before Abelish even gets the breeze. So Simon's now currently doing 6.1 knots, 140 miles in the day, and Abelish has gone 44 miles in the day and doing 0.4 knots. So you can see what's happening there as projected yesterday. Kirsten, same deal. She's done 51 nautical miles in the day, 4.3 knots, and this is going to be her home, nesting in the middle of nothing for at least 3, possibly 4 days, and she'll be lucky to make 40 miles a day. So that's not good for Kirsten. It was as we were talking yesterday, and the forecast is still showing something similar. So fingers crossed, hopefully it changes. Abelish is going to do a bit better, but even Gug's not going to be happy with what's going on here, because this, as we said before, is the new South Atlantic high, or the most powerful one that's going to come across. So let's just jiggle that across here. Hang on. I'll get them so you can see all of what's happening. And now if you watch Goog, you can see what's happening here. That little high is going off to the east, and that's going to give him headwinds because this is rotates in a counterclockwise direction. So he got light winds and it's headwinds, and he really has to go out on starboard tack here because he knows if he goes out on port tack, he's going into the center of this high, and it's going to go lighter, but he's really stuck. And as this moves, it'll dictate the wind direction he's got. Simon, of course, all the time is looking really good. He's got plenty of breeze, and it's going to take now 12 hours before it starts to reach Aberlis. So in the next 12 hours, going back to Simon will make he'll be doing 6 knots all the way. So that's about another 70 miles that Simon's going to get for free. And don't worry, Simon's had bad luck as well in the past, so I'm not picking on the guy. I'm just explaining what's happening. Another 70 miles. So he's going to be within 280 miles before Aberlis gets moving. And when he does, when Aberlis starts moving, you'll see he'll come out on starboard tack and start to make easting while he can. He knows he's trapped up against the coast here. So this is perfect. You've got a southeasterly breeze. He'll come out northeast for sure, closing in on Kirsten's position and giving him free windward work. Because remember, Kirsten's position being out here to windward was perfect because Aberlis was going to be trapped in here. Now he's going to come out to the northeast, and he'll eventually get to a position when he can do one leg. So every mile he makes to the northeast is like 2 miles extra towards his course. So he's going to be happy about that. Meanwhile, look what's happening to Kirsten. She's parked in her own private parking lot and going nowhere. So at that point, you're going to see Aberlis start to close in on Kirsten. So currently, if we went on the run line situation, well, in fact, let's go to the leaderboard just to show you where they're at today. There's still nearly a 500-mile gap here with Kirsten and Aberlis, technically, on the distance to the finish and the course to the finish. So Kirsten is on 4,241, and Aberlis is on 4,750. So it's a little bit, it's about 480 miles. I'm not good at maths, but about 480. So she's still holding it there. But this is where Aberlis starts to move and Kirsten stays parked. And we're not many days into it at this stage. So now we can predict to a degree, depending on the weather, how close Aberlis will get to Kirsten before she starts to move. So just again, not forgetting Goog down the back here as this weather progresses, and we're only into midnight now. We'll keep it going. You can see Kirsten's hole's getting bigger. Aberlis is now sailing. And Goog has got headwinds, so he's not happy, but Simon is just flying. So, but at this stage, Simon, whilst he's within about 270 miles of Aberlis will be doing the same thing. You can see here, southeasterly wind, plenty of it. There's probably 18 knots there, gusting 23, 24. He'll be doing 6 knots or more, and Simon's doing the same. So you'll see both of them holding this course, coming across here, and they'll all be smiles, and Kirsten's just sitting there. So this is now day 13. We're coming into day 14. I'll bring it to 14 and stop it there. So there we are now. So this is now 2 days ahead. So 2 days, and Aberlis has been going for a day and a half. So that's going to give him 150, 160 miles already in this direction, whereas Kirsten's just stopped, not moved. So there's 1 day, and if we go through to the next day, we'll go through the 15th. Kirsten's still sitting there. Aberlis and Simon are flying, and we'll bring it through to another day. Kirsten's still sitting there. Aberlis is flying, so that's another full day. So that's probably worth close to 200 miles for Aberlis coming down that line, and Simon's holding his own with Aberlis, but heading straight for Kirsten. Okay, so now you've got a situation where 3 days later, Simon is going to be, I'll show you roughly where Simon's going to be. He's going to be 350 miles up on Kirsten. That's 380. So Simon's going to be about here, about that spot, which is basically about 450 miles behind Kirsten. That's within the next 3 days, if this weather and trough and everything holds true. So that's a complete turnaround. And Aberlis is going to have a couple of 100 miles. I'd say 3 days. He could be up around here. So you can see because Kirsten sat there for a few days on the rum line, he's probably only 150 miles, within less than 200 miles behind Kirsten. So very dramatic situation, and I'm not over dramatizing it. I'm not favoring anyone. I'm not making silly projections. All I'm doing is giving a commentary on the weather and a sailboat race, which is second to none anywhere in the world, and it's really tough and frustrating. I can't imagine what Kirsten's going to go through. What's the chances of this changing? I'm not sure. The forecast, it's pretty easy to see what's happening. If we cut back with it's the weekend, so I'm waffling on a bit. If we cut back to this, what's happening is the strength of these trades here has just disappeared. There's not much in there because there's no pressure system driving it. There's this big bloody hole going all over the top, which is compressing the two systems. Now, even the one that's supposedly driving it is a little bit mixed up. And for these two to mold together and change, it'd be, in my opinion, from what I've seen in the past, it'd be highly unlikely. So it's very likely to stay like this. And then this one's going to transition, and who knows what, too far out to tell, but very interesting. So we'll come back to my screen here so I can pop this one up here, and we'll see you all again tomorrow when it's Monday, Itis Day. Have a good weekend for the last day. See ya.